Welcome to another AVID Chat. David Herpel and Jack Arnold. Jack, good to see you today.
Good to see you, Dave.
If you're joining us here in January, we are going to talk about Jack's experience with cryptocurrency in 2021.
Right.
I'm actually pretty excited about this. I don't know how Jack's feeling about this. We just came up with it as a whim because Jack literally did start kind of getting involved in crypto. I think as an exploratory, I want to understand it, which is Jack's just proves to his diligence to gain knowledge and understand things, especially in the world of investing, which we do. We don't do crypto as a firm, but everybody talks about it. So I'm super excited. Hopefully it's not too much Q&A, but let's just start off with, let's go back to whenever you started. Give us a framework to, first, why you wanted to get involved in crypto, and then we'll kind of maybe jump into the how.
Well, first, I'm not really involved in it so much as I'm playing around with it. It's like experimentation. Okay. So I would say, and I'm going to be super hedging all this so much about, because I really have no, as far as like the ins and outs, like I know a little bit, enough to be dangerous. I've learned a lot as time has gone on. It's kind of gone through really kind of an explosion the last, call it 18 months or so. I first got curious about using it and bought some like in 17, so like years ago, so like 4 years ago at this point. And that was like kind of that time when I wouldn't say it's the first time, but like one of the times when it just kind of took off for a little while. Just not long before that is when I started, I think I bought some Bitcoin and some Ethereum or something, nothing crazy. And it went up and then it kind of fell apart from there. And then from that point up until, honestly, like maybe the beginning of this year, end of last year, it really kind of took off, and there's been a lot more things built around it. So as far as like technical aspects, I'm not really going to say, but there's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, but there's tons of other coins. Now there's all these different protocols, and there's NFTs, and there's all these things kind of based on this kind of decentralized database called a blockchain. And there's people that will say it's the future of everything. Some people will say it's a zero, it's complete garbage, just recreating things that already exist. There's tons of argument back and forth. Some people say it's like the early internet days, mid to late 90s of internet, which I would say is probably about right. Okay. I was much younger then, but I remember it. I was definitely a teenager. I was maybe 12 or 13. I remember it being like it was a huge deal, like get on the internet. And even then it was like the Wild West, and people would say the same thing then. This is goofy. There's no real use. Can I just do this? I can do this in the real world already. Why would I need the internet for that? So it's some of the same conversations. So that's my really long hedging explanation.
Right. And so you're not going to give us any crypto advice, right?
No. Do not do this, because I can't give you advice, because I'm just kind of in some ways goofing off. Like it's a very small portion of my overall. I purposely did that. We've done videos. Yeah.
How much did you buy, and what did you buy? Just curious. If you don't mind, me asking.
I'm not going to say dollars. What I'll say is it's less than 5% of what I have. Of my liquid, so it's not total net worth, it's my liquid net worth. So cash I had available.
Fair enough.
That's what I started with.
That sounds pretty.
So if there's somebody watching this who does crypto stuff, like they're gonna know, like, and probably tell me how dumb I am in the comments, and I'm an idiot. But there's all these different kind of there's chains, there's tokens for different projects, there's all these different things. So I just started out, I bought the two biggest ones are probably Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are kind of the two biggest ones. Bitcoin kind of probably being the biggest one. Yep. Ethereum's kind of the second biggest one. And then there's all these other much smaller ones beyond that. There's like level 1s and level 2s, which I'm not going to go into. And you can move money around on different chains and stuff. It's actually kind of fun once you figure out how to do it. Is you kind of use a decentralized wallet where you put your coins in there and you can move stuff between different projects and buy tokens and really just kind of mess around. So I got into there. I had some Bitcoin, Ethereum. I bought some random tokens for nothing. even smaller. If the overall is 5%, I was doing like very small just to get an idea of what they were. Here's my thing. I think if you want to learn something, if you put some money into it, it forces you to learn what you're doing. Like, there's no better way. It's one thing to say from afar, learn something, but when you have a little bit of skin in the game, even if it is a small amount of money, it forces you to be more involved and play around and get to know it. So I don't want to just, write, like, I think a lot of advisor type people just write it off like garbage, speculation, ignore it. I just don't think you can do that. You need to get in and participate and see what's out there. So started off, like I said, bought some in 17, didn't really do a whole lot, probably until the end of 20 or something, started buying a little bit more. Still nothing crazy. But this year's the first year I really had a wallet. It's called MetaMask, but there's lots of other wallets that you can use. It's kind of browser based. You can put stuff in there and move it around and connect it to different protocols. And so it's pretty interesting. It's kind of like logging into a website with a username and a password in some sense. You just connect it, but you can disconnect it too. It's actually an easier way to kind of log in and log out to different things. So did that, moved some money around. I knew another person that was way more involved in it than I was, and they were just telling me, explaining things to me as to what it was. And probably the most lucrative thing that I did is, you can buy a .com name. So you like a domain name, so you can go on GoDaddy, buy a .com name. This is probably, 6 months ago, 8 months. It was a while ago. He was talking to me about all the things you could do. He's like, oh, you can buy an ENS name, which is like a Ethereum name service. So it's like a .com. So they have a registry that you could go on and you could buy like .com names. So people are going on there buying like
GoDaddy for the internet, but in the crypto world.
Yes.
Like, right?
Yep, that's right. So you would have, so it basically like you're going to GoDaddy, except you go to the ENS Ethereum name service and you pick a name. And if it's available, you own it. So there's people going on there buying like beer.ens and food.ens, all, just like back in the day when people were scooping up all these .coms because somebody might want to buy it from them.
Well, so I bought one. Interrupt you real quick because, if you were to go to try to buy avidplaying.com, we obviously own it, so you couldn't buy that. But there's a huge business for people in there that buy up all these domains, and then somebody, let's say Avid wants to change the website, we go to find some new thing, and somebody owns it, we'd have to pay for it. So this is a legit business that people are doing. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I don't think a lot of us realize that people do that all day, every day. Anyway.
Yeah, right. Funny side note, TMZ.com, Harvey Levin, the guy who owns it, he told the story before, is when he wanted to name it TMZ, which is like short for 30 mile zone, whatever. He had to, the domain name was taken, and he went to buy it. When he went to go buy it from the person, he didn't want to pull up in a Mercedes or something, so he borrowed somebody's beater car to buy it. And I don't know how much he bought it for, $2,500 or something. But he didn't want to pull up in some super fancy car because he thought the person would be like, oh, $100,000. Anyways, totally unrelated. But
back to
the ENS name
venture.
So I bought an ENS name. This is 6 or 8 months ago. So I had that. I just bought one of those. There's NFT. This stuff is so crazy. All this terminology. I swear to you, every day it's different and everything changes. It's impossible to keep up with. I will tell you, as much as I've been in it, I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing and understand half the stuff. Some of the terminology, just the way that things work. It's decentralized. There's no customer service number, so I'm always worried about just losing my coins, doing something wrong and losing it, because it's if you lose it, it's gone. There's nobody to talk to. It's kind of, it really is the Wild West. And so it's just insane. Very speculative, very risky. Bought the ENS name, which is interesting. There's NFTs, so there's a non-fungible token, which is basically just taking something digital and giving you ownership rights of something digital. There's one camp that would say that's complete garbage. It's a digital image, let's say. I can just copy it and it's the exact same thing. I have the exact same copy. There's another camp of people that says, yeah, but you just have a copy. I own the real thing. And you can copy and paste a Mona Lisa. It doesn't mean you own the Mona Lisa. So there's two camps. There's a camp that says and then along with all this, it is like a gold rush type of thing. It's like, there almost certainly some of these things will be worth something in the future. The vast majority of these things are going to be complete garbage. And they're going to be zeros because it's infinite. There's really no barriers to entry.
Yeah.
There's tons and tons and tons of supply out there. It's somewhat it's somewhat unregulated for the most part. There are big companies. Coinbase is a gigantic company at this point, which kind of somewhat came out of nowhere, but it is a publicly traded company. It's a somewhat centralized exchange versus a decentralized exchange, where you can buy tokens and coins, and you can exchange them, and there's all kinds of things you can do on there. So I bought an NFT, which is like some random picture. Just again, I think that will probably end up being worth zero in the future, but it's fun to do. Like there's this website called OpenSea. You can go on there and there's all this. It's kind of like buying art. Buying digital art is essentially what you're doing. There's been some big artists that have been involved. There's been big brands that have been involved. Adidas just did an NFT release like over the weekend or something. So there's big brands that are getting involved in it. So anyways, go ahead.
Mike, so the question is, so then is this something that you're actively looking at, or just like on the weekend you have to check the account type of thing? And does the value of this NFT or whatever you own, is it fluctuating like we would say the stock market does or something like that, or not? Is it different?
Yeah, I mean it is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's not like the stock market where there's market hours. So that's one thing.
Okay.
As far as like the Bitcoin, Ethereum, these things trade 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They never really stop. It doesn't mean you have to, just like I don't pay attention to the market all day, every day. I don't have to pay much attention to it. It is extremely volatile. Like, it could go up 100% in a week and then go down 70% in a day. Like, it's just, they're absolutely all over the place. But no, you don't have to check it every day. As far as like my involvement, it's mostly, you can kind of curate some sources to pay attention to. There's a podcast or two that I listen to that talk about it quite a bit. Maybe I can put them in the comments. It's just like I would say like anything else. I don't suspect in any way that it's not going to be a big portion of what I do. I'm certainly not going to bet my entire financial future on doing something like this.
Yeah.
But I will say there's tons of people involved in it. I could say that it's the dumbest idea ever and also the smartest idea ever. Time will tell. I don't know which one that will end up being. It'd be impossible to say what the internet would turn into in 1998. Like, who knows? Like, are there uses? I think there's lots of good uses that I could say right now. Here's something you could use this particular technology for. But to be honest, a lot of that is just taking the current world and comparing it to this new technology, where the new technology can open up things that I'm not even thinking about today, and I don't know what those would be. And I don't know that I'm smart enough, or I have enough forethought or enough vision to say, this is the thing. But I have no idea what that's going to be. A lot of this, like I said, has just been me somewhat goofing off, trying to gain some knowledge on it. It's big. It's a big topic. I don't know that we don't get a ton of questions about it, but I wanted to make sure if I did get questions about it, I can have some kind of informed opinion as to, hey, this has been my experience. I can't recommend this to you necessarily, but if you're going to do it, let's talk about how you could do it, and so that you don't just destroy yourself in the process. Yeah. So it's been interesting. I wish I could summarize all this, the stuff that I've learned, but it's impossible, and it changes all the time. So, short of having a kind of wallet and buying coins and moving stuff around and buying an NFT and buying a ENS name and those are just things that I've done. I wouldn't recommend somebody go out and just do these things with a big chunk of their money. But if you want to take, 1%, 2%, I wouldn't do more than say 4 or 5% of your total. I mean, I think that's the only way you're really going to learn and have an informed opinion on the topic. I just don't know how else you could do it. And I think it's going to get more and more important for me anyways, or us as an advisor to know these things in the future, because it's certainly not going away
For sure.
anytime soon. So it's been
Yeah.
interesting, and it's cool because it's totally different. Like this is totally
Well, it's
fun
it
to learn.
totally goes against like the principles or the foundation of, investment advice and the things that we've been used to for 20 years. So it will be interesting to see 20 years from now what role it plays or it doesn't. And I think relating it back to the internet seems to be a pretty comparable thing. Like, it's just mind blowing to see where technology and the internet has taken things. I mean, we're getting deliveries by people for groceries. I just saw a thing last night that the next new thing is drone food service. So you basically the drones bring the food to your house, and it's just like, I mean, who knows where it's going? So
Yeah. I don't even think it's 20 years from now. Like, I think 2 years from now, it's going to be interesting. Like, honestly, paying attention to the stuff and trying to learn, like, the pace of change in I hate to call it the crypto space. It's like such a dork term, but like, in that kind of area, it's like the pace of change, it's insane. Like, there was like the whole NFT thing. Anybody watching this has heard about it. It's like, it went from nothing a year ago, let's say, 18 months ago, almost, it was nothing. It existed, but it was not something a big topic, to like the topic of the day, like OpenSea, which is kind of, like I said, it's kind of the eBay for NFTs. Like, you can bid on them. It works very similar to that. OpenSea is doing like more volume in a month than eBay is doing. Maybe even multiples of that. I don't know the exact numbers. Like, it went from nothing to bigger than eBay in 6 months. Like, maybe less. Like, it's insane, the pace of that. And it could just as easily go from that big growing to half of that in 6 months. Like, because there's no barriers to entry as far as like somebody could spin up a whole nother OpenSea type of thing tomorrow, and all of that could go somewhere else just like that, because it's somewhat frictionless between the different.
There's no regulations like all the other type of markets and investing and things of that nature. So, right?
Yes, it's very lightly regulated. There's Coinbase, which is an exchange. There's what's the other one? There's one that they just renamed the arena in Miami. I can't think of the name. FTX. That's like they just renamed the arena. So it used to be American Airlines Arena in Miami. Now it's FTX Arena. That's like a crypto exchange. It just renamed Staples Center in Los Angeles to Crypto.com.
Yep, I just saw that.
Yeah, so those kinds of things are they've gotten bigger and been a little bit more regulated. There's some controversy as they're more centralized now. Coinbase is a publicly traded platform. Some people would say, if you want to stay true to the crypto ethos, you can't use Coinbase because it's too centralized. Like, there's like so much infighting. It's crazy. But anyways, it's just
like
crazy how much this stuff.
World.
That's exactly. It's very similar to like
don't sell out. Don't sell
out.
It's all about the beer. It's all about the beer. And then InBev shows up with $7 billion to buy your craft brewery. Like, you know what? I'll go ahead and take that deal.
Yeah, right. It really is like that. It's just like that. There's no. I mean, what barriers to entry are there? There was a huge explosion of craft breweries. I don't know if that pace has slowed down a little bit, but it's similar to that. Is like there's tons of them, and they have their own value, but there wasn't much of a barrier to entry other than knowing how to make beer to make your. That's a great analogy. They're like little micro breweries, except the difference is you can buy, like, if we have Green Bench here in St. Petersburg. Like, if Green Bench was coming and you thought it was going to be this great thing, you could actually buy shares in some sense, a token. They could put out like we're going to sell these pre-release tokens, and if you own one, you're like a preferred customer at Green Bench or something.
Right.
Very
there you go,
similar
Green
to
Bench. There's the future of craft brewery right there.
Ton of controversy in that too. It's like these securities, like it really is the Wild West.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough. I'm not recommending somebody do this. I don't know you. Don't do what I did and go running into it. I would say it's highly speculative. You could lose every dollar that you put into something like this. I would, however, say it wouldn't hurt to educate yourself on what these things are, even if it is from afar, and even if you do put tiny bit of money into it, just so you can have a little bit of skin in the game. I don't think that's a horrible idea. But like I said, it's the sky's the limit. Anything can happen. It's kind of crazy. So it's been an interesting experience, and it's not going to stop. We'll see how it goes, and maybe I'll give you an update in a year or so.
Yeah, it's really kind of an annual update on this thing would be kind of cool. So listen, it's been great for me to listen and ask questions. I didn't know this much detail as often as we talk about stuff pertaining to the cryptos in your experience. So hopefully if you're listening, got some value of it. I appreciate you just being open with us, just to say, hey, I'm doing this and here's why. And, it's not advice, but it is reality that we are in the investment world and this is a part of it. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And I will say, if you are watching this and you think I'm an idiot or I don't know, understand, or I need to understand something better, seriously, put it in the comments. If you want to say I'm an idiot, fine. Tell me why I'm an idiot so I can understand what I'm missing and what I need to understand better, or if there's something else I can learn. By all means, put it in the comments. If you want me to tell you more about my experience, I'm open to do it. I don't want to berate people and kind of inundate people with crypto talk. I think it's just kind of a niche topic, but I'm happy to talk about it if people want to know kind of what's going on, what my experience has been. So leave a comment, whatever you think would be helpful. And like I said, my only request is if you tell me I'm dumb, I don't know what I'm talking about, is just tell me why I'm dumb and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Just give them some detail. Exactly.
Just give me some details. Right. Exactly.
Like, comment, subscribe to the channel, pass it along to a friend. Hope you enjoyed the session. Jack, thanks again for sharing. See you next week.